Hi, everybody. Buenas tardes. Welcome back to our platform here at Bella. I'm really excited to have Ariana Cervantes here with us to be interviewed. Welcome, Ariana. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me for this opportunity. And it's so good to see you again and to catch up.
Of course. And Ariana owns Nina Ari's boutique, and we're going to go into that and what all that means and what she does. But we're also going to get to know her as a human being, as a person, as an individual. We want to kind of capture the full story. So thank you again for sharing your time with us and your space, and for all of you that are listening. So let's just kind of dive right into the questions and just tell us a little bit about you, Ariana. Who are you, and what is your business all about?
Yeah, so my name is Ariana Cervantes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for welcoming me to your device, wherever you're watching us. I am a 30-year-old Latina woman who embarked on starting her own business 2 years ago in the midst of 2020. Before that, I come from a background in finance and accounting. I graduated from UCLA in 2014. And before that, have been in LAUSD schools my whole life. I grew up in South Los Angeles, so a little bit of everything that from growing up and all of my experiences throughout college finally got me to deciding to embark on starting my own business. Nina Ari's Boutique is a fashion clothing and accessories boutique, ranging in sizes from small to 3X, a little bit of everything for everyone, for every mujer in our lives.
I love that. Thank you. That was so perfect.
Thank you. You're sweating.
No, thank you for sharing that. That tells me a lot about you, who you are, your business. And so we're just going to dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah.
And so share with us, if you can, a little bit about how, your background and who you were growing up. So I asked this question because I'm always curious, and I think folks are always curious to learn kind of the story behind the story, right? We see you now as you are business owner, those kinds of things, but what kind of led up to that? So if you can kind of walk us through maybe some highlights of your life growing up, a little bit of your background that you feel comfortable sharing.
Yes, of course. So I grew up in a home with a stay-at-home mom, dad working all the time, very hard worker who allowed her to have that opportunity to always be home with my brother and I. It's just my brother and I, so it's a very close-knit family, a lot of love. So that's been big with me, and even just giving love to those around me now, especially to my customers. So that's a big part of who I am and my life. And then growing up, my mom was always big on dressing us up. The big dresses, yes, the moños, those socks with the little ruffle. All of that, always. And it was always no te vayas a ensuciar, when we were off at family events. So I feel that kind of just stuck with me. I remember playing and then be oh no, I don't want to do that porque se me van a ensuciar los zapatos or something like that, not this dress, I like this dress. So it's crazy to look back at it now, pero desde chiquita, fashion has kind of been in me. I just always liked dressing up, and I blame my mom for that. Even till this day, sometimes she's still I want to go buy you something. I'm lady, I'm going to buy you something now. But it's just that the inspiration from her too. And then being able to, she talks a lot about how when she was younger, and living in Mexico, she grew up in Jalisco. She wanted to have the pretty dresses she'd seen on TV, or when people would go from the States to visit. So I think that I was her real life doll at that point, to kind of also live what she didn't get the chance to live through me. So that's what started my love for fashion. I also remember too, my tias would always ask me oh, that's so pretty. Where is it from? Y yo les decía, from Sears Todo Para Mí. I don't know if you remember the ads from years ago. So that was my thing, Sears Todo Para Mí. And there's been moments now where I look back on all of this and I'm wow, it kind of was in me all along. See, if I was ever going to sell something, it had to be fashion related.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's beautiful. I think we don't often reflect on those moments or on that journey. I'm glad that you have, and that you do see that intrinsic passion and desire and how that actually influenced, like you
Yeah,
shared, what you decided to sell, or whatever your business is it's that it's driven by that history, right? That
yeah,
part of you. So
definitely.
yeah, that's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing a little bit about that. And so kind of on the same lines, how did you come up with the concept of Nina Ari's boutique, right? So out of everything you could have done related to fashion in terms of a business,
Mhm.
why the boutique and why this model? And can you share a little bit about that, right? So how were you inspired actually? So what inspired you? Well, let's stop. So there's two questions. Let's focus on the
Yeah.
first one. I don't want to load it too much. So one, let's talk about the concept of the boutique itself. So if you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just backtrack a little bit and how it came to be that I decided to start my business.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us have very similar stories going back to 2020, like the year that changed all of our lives, something we had never experienced before. And in the midst of all of that, I lost my grandma to cancer. So I was dealing with that. And a few days later, I lost my corporate job, a job that I had straight from college and had like interned throughout all of my college years. So it was a lot. Life threw a lot
Mm-hmm.
my way. It was already a lot for all of us.
Yeah,
And in the midst of all of that, I kind of didn't know what to do. Like you're trying to, sorry,
it's okay.
you're trying to emotionally process like a major loss, and then like the job wasn't like it hit me, but I just put it in the back of my brain because I wanted to heal. I
Right.
wanted to process what had happened with my family and all of that. But of course, the bills always pile up.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to the point where I'm like, okay, like you need to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I had enough savings to just kind of take life one day at a time to process. But it got to the point where I'm like, okay, the savings aren't going to be there forever. It's time to get back to work. So
Mm-hmm.
I come from public accounting. So I started looking at sorry, did I lose you?
I'm still
Oh,
here.
okay. I got a pop up. I started looking into finance related jobs, accounting jobs, and nothing felt right because I was coming from a mindset of like you dedicated yourself to a company for so many years and like in the blink of an eye, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'd keep looking, I'd start applications and just nothing felt right. It was like I'm going in it for the money because I need it and not because I feel any sort of connection like to this job at a certain time. And that's when I started to think like, what do I really want to do? Like what's going to make me happy?
Mm-hmm.
And coming like from living the COVID and the pandemic for a few years, just realizing that we have to be happy with what we do. Life is short and things can change in the blink of an eye, which they did. So it's focusing on like what's really like what am I really passionate about? And that's when I started thinking, what if I start a business, which is so scary. There's like I had my own savings, I had no other capital, and I knew it was big, especially since I hadn't been working for a few months already and had been relying on my savings. It's like, is this really what I want to do or not? I started talking to my parents, to my brother, to other friends that I have that had already had businesses prior to COVID, and just trying to get all of the information that I could get. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something for myself now. I got to try it. If I don't try it, nunca se sabe. And that's one of the things that keeps us from progressing a lot of times is el miedo.
Mm-hmm.
And like miedo I have till this day, like life is scary, businesses are scary, like being a business owner is scary, but you got to take that first leap to really see if it's going to work or not. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And then I started thinking the what, and that's when the whole fashion came in and thinking of, I like to dress up, I like to style like different outfits, I think it needs to be fashion. And that's where we decided to go with fashion. And I slowly started with just like a few accessories, some clothing, sizes small through large. And I started to think about like all of the women in my life and everybody that likes to dress up. I'm like, I need to expand this so it's something for everyone. And that's when I started doing my research on like plus size and curvy sizes to also bring in that collection, to have something for everyone. And we all have like gustos diferentes, and maybe if you don't like this new dress that I just brought in, but you love these new earrings, like I'm gonna have something that you're gonna like that's gonna be the tu estilo. And it focused on I just started to base like the whole idea of my business on that, on just having something for every mujer en mi vida. And then from there, going back to the name, I'm like, okay, so now what do I name this? Like, I know what I want. I know what I want to sell. Like, a name is big. It's like, that's what it becomes your brand. I know in the corporate world, it's like, you're your own brand, like your name. But now I'm like, now I have like another face that I'm going to be presenting, and it's going to be whatever my business name is, whatever my logo is. And I started to think about another big thing in my life, which are my godchildren. So I've been blessed with the opportunity to be Nina to 10 kids now, and 2 pending. So I count mi docena, like los pedacitos de mi corazón, and I love them all so much. And it's a lot of Nina, Nina, Nina. I'm like, that's what it's gonna be. I'm like, it's gonna be Nina Aries Boutique, to kind of honor all of my god babies too, to show them that you can do anything you want to do, anything you set your mind to. And then I honor each and every one of them by naming my products after them, their first names and their middle names. So I threw a lot at you now, wasn't it? But
No, that was beautiful, and thank you for tying it. Kind of, you connected the dots, right? It's that path that you were kind of illustrating for us, the path that you took and the order that you took it. So I think that that's very helpful for also women that are interested in starting their own business and curious, right? There's different ways to go about it. I
yeah,
don't think there's necessarily any right or wrong way. I think we need to find what fits us and our life and our needs and, those things. So I think the
definitely.
fact that, yeah, you sharing that. And I love the concept of the names, because I feel like there's always a deep story and purpose behind.
Yeah.
And I think that, like yourself, other emprendedoras and business owners that started, it's always taken with such great care and passion to say, this name is going to be there's something behind it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think people feel that. I don't think I'm the only one that sees like your name and just knows that there's some meaning behind it, right? And
Yeah.
I think that translates into the energy that you give off and the vibe when, people are close to you, and when you're operating your business or when you're talking to people, like the energy shines through. And I don't know if you know that, but it's like really vibrant in my opinion.
Oh,
And so
thank you.
thank you for sharing that story. That's so beautiful and inspirational to everybody. And so, going along with that, I always like to ask the question around kind of the deeper purpose or vision you have for your business. Because I know you're in a place where you're going through whatever phase in your journey right now and operating your business and
Mhm.
growing your business. But what is that deeper purpose you have for having this business, and where do you kind of see it going in the future?
That's a great question, and something that I think about all the time, and that constantly changes. The focus is definitely on growing the business and having the capital to be able to do more. I want to give back a lot more to my community. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up in South LA, not far from like Watts and Southgate area, which doesn't have the best rep of being a good place or a place like people want to go to. But it's because I feel like we don't give enough love back to the community that we're in. So I definitely want to be able to do more for my community, like host more events where I can offer more free services to like the kids here, or get more involved with schools, like with grants and things like that. Very similar to programs that you have and that I see and I love. And hopefully one day I can mirror on behalf of my boutique to be able to just give back. And then just personally for the store in the future as well, I'd love to one day have a brick and mortar to be able to just have a space to highlight everything that I've been working on, my products, but to also allow other vendors that maybe by then will be in the position that I am in now, an opportunity to be in the store with me to highlight their products as well. But it's all about the comunidad, and thinking back on the opportunities that I've gotten since I've started and that continue to get offered to me. and then being able to just do that for other vendors in the future, and for other not just vendors, Latina business owners as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That sense of wanting community to build off of what I know you're already establishing with community and the events that you have. And so just keeping that at the core in terms of
Yeah.
your values is important. And I think that it's you'll definitely continue to see kind of the benefits and the goodwill that that brings. Like you said earlier, you give it and you receive it, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's kind of this beautiful cycle and kind of how things operate. So I wish you a lot of success in that. I know you're going to make it happen because you are an amazing, brilliant woman.
Thank you.
Um, so we will all love those that are listening. I'm sure we'll love to continue to keep an eye on your story and on your business and support you. And so I'll change the question a little bit. I know that some folks that are listening in, wide range, right? Some women already
Mhm.
have their business and been operating for a long time. Some women are just starting, and women are thinking about starting a business. So, if you can share, maybe one or two challenges or struggles that you either encountered or are currently, living out, and how did you navigate through that? Like, how did you overcome, or how are you overcoming, whatever challenges you've experienced?
Yeah. So one of the big things is just fear. And it's crazy. It seems so broad, but everything is so scary. Like starting is scary. And I feel like when you convince yourself, like, okay, lo voy a hacer, like there's just all these little thoughts that are always like, maybe not, or really, like, do I really want to do it? So a lot of it is just like learning to accept que uno sí puede,
Mhm.
just having a better mindset overall, which is not, I mean, it's easier to say because we all have our difficult days, and to this day, like sometimes I just want to give up, like when we have those sales slumps, when it's like, oh my god, I have all of this product here, like all this money, like I'm not getting a sale, I'm posting, like I'm going to pop-ups que hago, and
Yeah.
it's just always just remembering que todo pasa, and we may be abajo a week or two or three, but then we're gonna come back up, and it's always like even better than the time before. So it's learning a lot of patience, very very much needed. Learning to not be so miedosa, but to this day I'm still working on it. I feel like I'm the biggest like block that I have for myself. It's like what stops me from doing things myself. Even like this interview, I was so scared. And I know you had asked me in the past and I chickened out because I'm like, no, like nobody wants to know about me or my store. But we got to get out there, and we need to have more faith like in ourselves. And a lot of that is just being more comfortable with who we are. Because yes, the business is the business and they see the name and the logo, but like we're the ones behind it, so we need to believe in ourselves in order for our businesses to just continue growing.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, it's also timing, like you said, que todo a su tiempo, right? Is
Yes.
you weren't ready, a few months back and, revisited, and now you're ready, even though you were still maybe, there's a little bit of fear or, not knowing kind of what it was going to feel like, but
Mhm.
you made the decision and you made the choice and you stuck by it. And I think sometimes that has to do with the timing of where we are in our lives. And that's okay, right? Because everybody's
Mhm.
journey is different. So
Yeah.
everybody wants to know where you are and what you're doing, because you sharing your story is going to inspire someone. And even if it inspires one person, well, let me say two people, because you already inspired me. So let's add a second, at least, at minimum. I know there's going to be more, because there's so many women that are in that seat that you are, that share sometimes, or that don't share, right? That there's that fear, but that it's living
Yeah.
there. And so I love how the question kind of is answered here with us present, because you're saying, I just kind of was like, let me do it. That's how I overcame it. And it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, sometimes we just have to make the choice and go. And so this is a good illustration of that. So thank you for sharing that. And so what advice or what tips would you give to other Latina women rising entrepreneurs that are listening, or what have been some of the advice or suggestions you've given to others?
Definitely, I would say rely a lot on your comunidad. Use your resources. It kind of goes back to the whole miedo thing. Sometimes I didn't want to get out there or anything like that, but there are so many great resources if you just reach out to other business owners as well. Start looking into like major community events, groups like this one, that the one that you have, Rocio. It's amazing, and we just love to jump on your page, jump on your videos, see different interviews from different women, because there are so many people out there who might have the same questions as you, who might need the same as advice as you. But if you don't get out there and like network, you're not going, te vas a quedar in like your little spot. So definitely branch out. Your community is there. Your community literally like around you and your customers, but also your community of business owners and Latina business owners. A lot of us come from first generation families. Like both of my parents immigrated here from Mexico. So things are different. We all have different stories, but there's someone else just like you out there who can help you, who can you can lean on each other, and you don't even have to sell the same thing, but you're both going through the process together. So I'm so grateful for everyone that I've met and continue to meet, like when I do pop-up events or when I just go to networking events. So definitely get out there and network. It's big and it'll change everything, your whole perspective as a business owner as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. I'm a strong believer in the community as well, and
Yeah.
networking. And I shared with you earlier offline the power of collectives when women
Yes.
come together and support and elevate each other. It's really like you manifesting, right, what you want out of your business.
Yes.
Eventually it's gonna kind of return, and but you have to put that into action, is what I'm hearing you say too, right? So it's okay to sit with our thoughts for a little bit. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
to have the fear. It's not bad to have those feelings. And then how do we move into action? How do we make that transition? And so I think to your point, a lot of the times we can rely on our community to help us get
Yeah.
there. And I think human connection, the sense of belonging, we've been hearing a lot of that recently, but it's also something that's always lived within us. The
Mm,
people before us, is that we have this intrinsic need to feel connected and feel belonging, and that's what community does for us. So thank you for shining light on that. And just as we're kind of closing our time together, I wanted to just kind of again open it up. Any words of wisdom? What would you like to leave the audience with? Or perhaps it was something you wanted to share that we didn't ask. That wasn't a specific question, but anything you want to share with the folks listening?
just going off of everything that we've talked about, you can do it. Tú puedes, tú eres fregona, tú eres the C word, CH.
You can say it. You can say it.
Tú eres chingona. Just believe in yourself. It's something that I've struggled with, that I'm working on overcoming, but we don't need to like put ourselves down. Like we can do it. And to the women that's thinking about starting a business, go for it. Nunca vas a saber if you don't try it. And trust me, there are a lot of people out there who will want your products, your services, who will be there to support you. To my fellow business owners, we can do it. Yes, we have the sales slumps, we have the difficulties, pero we will get through it. Todo a su tiempo. And to the business owners that have been here for years and that I meet or will continue to meet, just thank you for all of the advice, porque no se puede sola. And as much as you try to do everything sola, it's like until you get out there, like you'll see que puedes crecer mucho más as an individual and your business. And until you grow as an individual, then your business will start to reciprocate that as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Is there any like, so how do people, what's the best way to reach out to you? Like I know you mentioned, and I think this was offline, like you do pop-ups, you do different things. So what's the best way if folks want to say, oh my gosh, I'm super inspired, I want to follow this amazing mujer? Is it Instagram? Is that your biggest outlet? Or like how would folks connect with you and your business?
Yeah, for social media, it's definitely Instagram. We're at Nina Ari's Boutique, and we're also on Facebook, Nina Ari's Boutique. But we do spend more time on Instagram. We'll respond regardless of where you reach out. But even on Instagram too, I will post any upcoming pop-up events that I have, whether it's here at my location or community markets or anything like that. Instagram is the best place to go, and I hope that I get to meet a lot of you at pop-up events or networking events. It's always great to meet customers and friends. Like, so many of my customers are now like my good friends, and it's beautiful to see.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ariana. Everyone and anyone that's listening, we're going to make sure that we post her Instagram handle so you all can follow her. And just remember, everyone, keep shining bright, keep pushing
Yes.
forward, build your community, stay connected. And thank you again, Ariana, for your time. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.